Hello, this is Rich, and I wanted to share a project and then give a few little scratch tips, but also show you guys kind of how you can modify this particular template in this project for some of your own projects in the future. But also, I would like to see how you guys would modify this template and create something of your own to demonstrate a idea or concept. In my case, this is they're only catching even numbers, and when I click this flag, they're only supposed to catch even numbers. There we go. So you can kind of see I'm moving and catching the even numbers and avoiding the odd numbers. So you see when I catch an odd number, I lose a point. What this looks like, though, is, let's shrink this down. And you can see my crab. I'm only moving left and right. Over here, now you could also modify this so that they can move up and down or move any direction or have it follow your mouse. If I wanted to kind of have this where I can move up and down too, I would do something kind of like this. So up arrow. Let's put the left and right arrow there, and then the up and down arrows over here. And then down. Now, I would change the Y value rather than the X value to get it to go up and down. So I would do change Y by 10 in this case. And then go down, I would have to change Y by minus 10. On the little number line, you'll notice that right here you'll see where my mouse is on the XY axis of this stage here, and here's where my sprite is. So it's kind of the X and the Y reference to our little stage. So now when I click this, it's going to show my little starting sprite, and now not only can my crab move up and down, he can move, or left and right, he can move up and down too if he wanted to. So that's one way to modify. Here's the screen that shows it first, and you'll notice when I click the green flag, I'm showing it, then I'm waiting 5 seconds, and then I'm hiding it. So, and then you'll notice we already looked at the crab, modified it to go up and down. My numbers, in your case, you can pick any thing, any idea or concept you want to kind of get across. In my case, it was something simple, even in odd numbers. But if we look at this, you're seeing this is kind of the logic to it. It's setting the score to 0 when it first starts, and it's waiting that 5 seconds while our little start game screen shows. Then it's doing this, it's forever falling until it touches the edge or until it touches the crab. Now if it touches my crab, I'm changing the score. But I'm also going on the XY axis, I'm putting it back up to the top. So I'm moving it back up to the top here. And somewhere randomly across the top, across the x-axis. So you'll see that's why I'm getting that pick random. Then I'm also randomly selecting a costume, and I'll show you that here in a minute. And playing a little sound here when it does touch the crab. Now both of these, my even and my odd numbers are basically doing the same thing. The only difference is, since I only want to give them points when they catch the even number, I'm adding a point here. And then when I accidentally touch an odd number, see how it's taking away a point. So that's really the only difference between these two. one is giving me a point and the other is taking away a point. Now I wanted to show you the costumes. How I did this is I went to the costumes here and see how I have all the even numbers in this sprite. So this sprite has a bunch of different costumes, so it has, you know, all the even numbers in here. That's how we're getting it to randomly bring up a new even number. And then this is the odd number sprite. I've got the same thing. And notice how I only have 7. You could have as many of these as you want. And say if you're going to do catch the you know, something chemistry related, the liquid molecules. Then you could, you know, have all the liquid molecules and some gas molecules, and they only get points if they get the liquid molecules. But in this case, you see I've got all my odd numbers here. Only 7. I've got 7 of each. And so that's where this is coming from when I go back to my scripts tab. See how I'm saying switch costume to, and I'm picking a random 1 to 7. Picking a random costume from my first costume to my 7th costume, and that's basically what that means. So what I'd like for you to do is take this template, and I'll share it out under the video, and modify it a little bit. You could change the stage, and I just have this is where I'm kind of keeping a timer if I wanted to do a time, and say if my, well, actually this is doing a time. It's saying if my time is over 30 seconds, it's going to stop. So they only have 30 seconds to play this game. You can take that out if you wanted to, but this particular game does have a little timer. But then there's my backdrop, which you all used in your very first project. I noticed they all had backdrops. And then my main character sprite, which can be anything. I'm just using the crab. You notice I also am telling mine to change costumes every time I move my space button. So you see his claws open and close. Then we've got the falling objects, and then kind of the objective. You know, what's the purpose of the game? And I am just saying only catch the even numbers. So that's the project. I'll do a few other kind of little tips and tricks. The motion blocks, I think you guys have all tinkered with that, kind of that's starting to make sense as you play with this. The looks kind of controls, you know, the costumes, and all of you use those for your stories as well, for the saying. Sounds, I notice some of you in your projects use some background sounds. You could also make instruments, which I think is pretty cool. The pen, which is basically a drawing piece. I use it for interactive art stuff. This is a little, I created a variable, and that's how I'm keeping score. So you'll see that in the project. On the events, you know, that's how you're launching things, how you're initiating a process. So in this case, I'm just starting the game with the green flag. And this is all the logic stuff, the conditional stuff, the if-then. You notice we have some conditional stuff here. Or in my even and odd numbers, I have my if statements. And you notice all the conditional ones have these little diamond shapes here. Also the loops, the forever and the repeat. So usually these conditional blocks, the if or the if-then and the wait until or the repeat until, are used in conjunction with some of the sensing blocks. So you'll notice here in my if it's touching the edge or the mouse or one of my other sprites. And you could also do the same thing with colors, so if it's touching a color. And then is the key pressed, is the mouse down, and so forth. The operators, that's all the math stuff. That's where we're getting this random block here. We can also create our own little Boolean values. So, is something greater than or less than, which is what I'm doing. If you remember here, I'm looking at the timer, the little timer value, and seeing if it's greater than 30. Okay, and then the more blocks we won't really get into, but that's just a way for you to create your own blocks, and we'll do that. We probably won't do that this semester, actually, but it's possible to create your own blocks. So that's kind of in a nutshell, Scratch, this project. And as I mentioned, I'll give a little bit more instruction on what I'd like for us to do, but I'd like to see each of you modify this in a way that expresses an idea or teaches an idea to a user.